Well, the guidelines for this assignment said that we needed to talk about our two people that lit up my fire the most. I really had three that really have driven me to really get involved with my kids and their parents when I'm in my classroom. And those were three of the most excellent professors you will ever meet that taught me at Wabash. The first was Dr. Rick Warner, and not only was he my favorite history professor, but he was also the history department's educational liaison. So basically, anybody that was taking a social studies class that wanted to teach social studies, like this guy, we had to go talk to him about what we were going on and why we were interested in how do we go ahead and reach these and how do we go ahead and reach kids and families. Dr. Warner is fluent in Spanish, and one of the things I noticed when I was doing my student teaching was that my Latino kids weren't understanding some of the items because, again, I'm not that proficient in Spanish. And every time I would send something home for their parents wouldn't be able to read it because, again, it was in English. I remember sitting down and talking to Dr. Warner in his office one day. How do I really reach Hispanic families? And he told me that the family is the essential unit of the Hispanic community, and if you want to really engage them, you have to be very respectful of their students, and you have to understand that the family is a nuclear unit. While school is important, anything that involves the family is going to trump a student's working at school because, again, the family is the highest part of the hierarchy for Latino families. And he would actually go out of his way and spend time to look at worksheets and other documents and actually translate them for me so I could give my kids an equitable stance in my classroom. It's not fair that because there's a language barrier that kids are not given an equal chance to be educated. So he would actually spend time translating all these documents for me. That's since then, Google Translate has become very, very popular and very powerful. So I've used alternate different types of technologies to get kids involved, especially kids that don't speak the same language. So he was the first person that really drove my fire to understand the differences between my ideas on families and other students. The second person that really lit my fire was Dr. Michelle Pittard. She was in charge of the education department. She was the woman that basically taught me pedagogy and allowed me to form my own educational philosophy. She was extremely, extremely constructivist and very positivist. She basically told us that we needed to teach a social justice curriculum. We wanted to empower our students. We wanted to point out the wrongs in the world, and that if we were able to do that, we can change society for the better and get rid of pre-existing stereotypes. One thing that Dr. Pitter and I had done, I remember sitting down and we started talking about being creative in the classroom. And she had told me, why not, if you want to be creative and you still want to get everybody involved, why not invite parents in? Let them have authentic experiences and speak in your classroom. I did have a student come in. Her father was in Dallas the day the JFK was shot, and so we basically talked about what was going on, what the people were like in the city when we were talking about JFK and the assassination. I had students perform skits for their parents. We had a family night when all kids came in and they performed skits over famous Americans. And not every student and not every student's father or mother did show up, but we had a full packed classroom, and it was really awesome seeing parents coming in and responding to what their kids have done. So her basically talking to me about be creative and find different interesting ways to bring parents into the classroom and let them be linked with their kids and with me has really, to this day, really allowed me to wrap my mind around what can I do that's not only fun and interesting, but can help establish relationships. The last person is Dr. Melissa Butler. Dr. Melissa Butler was also another history teacher at Wabash College, and she also was involved in the education program. And the one thing that I had talked to her about was I want to get more students involved. And this was going on at the same time I was talking with Dr. Pittard about getting students and their family involved. And she basically told me that if you want kids to be involved with their parents, you teach a perfect subject for it, because every parent has their own history. And that quote has stuck with me to this day. Every parent has their own history. So one of the simple assignments I would have my kids do is like, hey, when you go home tonight, ask your parents what they remember. or ask your grandparents what they remember. I remember during World War II, I gave bonus points to anyone that actually sat down and spoke to their grandparents or anybody they knew that served in World War II and just asked them about their experiences. Same thing when we got all the way up to Clinton. I asked them to go home and talk about the Gulf War with their parents because that was much more real, much more stark in their minds. And Dr. Butler basically continued to stress that shared experiences not only create relationships but deepen knowledge and information retention. And those three people, without them, I wouldn't know. I would not be the teacher I am today, and I would not understand the importance of bringing families into the classroom.